ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਨੇਤਾ ਹਨ। ਹਾਲ ਹੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਵੈਂਕੂਵਰ ਆਏ ਸਨ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਐਕਸਕਲੂਸਿਵ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ। So Justin, would like to start off with the fiscal update which has been given by the government. What is your view about that?
We're quite frankly disappointed by it. It shows a fundamentally unfair perspective by this government. Their largest announcement in this fiscal update was income splitting. And the problem with income splitting is it takes a surplus that so many Canadians worked very, very hard to build. Sacrifices from many middle-class Canadians led to a surplus, and they're giving it to the 15% wealthiest Canadians. It's a tax cut that doesn't help 85% of Canadians, and it removes our surplus. It's not a very fair idea.
So what do you think, what should have been done with this surplus? How it could have been better utilized?
Well, we need to be investing in this country. We need to be investing in growth and prosperity and creating new jobs. Things like public transit or housing support, these are things that, yes, give us good jobs in the immediate, but also lead to greater productivity, greater benefits for all Canadians in the long term. When you think about the infrastructure that we get to work on every given day, it's the past generation that built that. We need to think about what we're building for our next generation. That's been the story of Canada, and that's a story that this government is trying to unwrite.
If you could talk a little bit about the foreign policy, the way the government has been adopting some policies, what do you feel? Is the government on the right path, or there needs to be some change in that?
I think in general, when it comes to immigration, we have a country that is closing in on itself rather than reaching out. We're not drawing in the best and the brightest anymore. We're not understanding how important it is to build family reunification as a part of creating stronger communities and more successful families. The positioning that they have very much seems to be around electoral positioning rather than how Canada can actually help. And we look at the biggest international issue of our time, which is climate change. The Conservative government has done absolutely nothing on it when even China and the United States are signing large agreements. Canada is being left out in the cold.
And ISIS is becoming a major threat, and the government took a stand where the opposition has been opposing on that particular issue. Could you please elaborate? What do you feel? What needs to be done on that particular front?
Of course. The Liberal Party has always believed that Canada needs to play a strong role as part of an international effort to combat ISIS. That's why we supported the initial mission that was a training and support mission advisory mission to support the local troops. Where I have a disagreement with this government is that I don't think bombing is going to solve the conflict in the Middle East. I think we need to be doing a lot more around humanitarian aid, a lot more around refugee support, but there's also things that our military can do around medical support, around logistical support, around more training and advisory capacity that Canada should be doing. So I don't disagree that Canada should be very involved in the fight against ISIL, but I do disagree with the Prime Minister on the best way to do that.
And Justin, if you are elected as the Prime Minister, the kind of defence build-up which this government is planning to do, and especially when we keep Arctic in mind, do you think that, especially when we are talking about the Arctic area, and there the government is talking we need to have some better build-up, do you support them, or you feel there needs to be some other way of boosting our defence?
Well, I think one of the things that this government has gotten very, very adept at is talking tough around investments in our military, but not actually spending any money. We have seen a slowdown on procurement, a mishandling of everything from Navy ships to fighter jets in a way that is very not encouraging the confidence of Canadians in the incredible work that our men and women of the Canadian Forces do. What we need to make sure we're doing is we're equipping our troops with the right equipment, the right way to do the work we need to do, and that includes a stronger presence in the Arctic. So I disagree very much with what this government is doing, because it's all paying lip service to our forces without actually giving them the support they need.
And Justin, if you can elaborate on, just recently we saw a lot of cases which have come as far as sex scandals are concerned, with Ghomeshi being there, and then in your party also you have thrown two out of your party members out of the caucus. and now the NDP is after you. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think it's very clear that in 2014 there can be no tolerance of personal misconduct. And I indicated that the Government of Canada, the Parliament of Canada, is going to have to modernize in the way it deals with these issues and in establishing a process around it. I'm a former teacher, which means when issues of personal misconduct come forward, I believe that I have a duty to act as a leader. And I don't think that it's right to hush it or to keep it away. I think the only way we can actually change society is by taking a firm stand, and that's what I will always do as a leader.
And coming to your book now, your memoirs, which you are going all across the country and signing the books, meeting the people, there's a lot of good response coming from that. Your father left a great legacy. How difficult is it to follow his footsteps? Please tell a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, yes, it's always been challenging to step out of his shadow, but the advantage of that is it gives me a lot to talk about in the book. The struggles I've had in defining who I am and sharing with people the process whereby I've come to have the vision of the country that I do. I'll be asking people to make a very serious decision next year about who they want to be their Prime Minister. And what we need to do is make sure that we have all the information at our fingertips. So by sharing this story of my path to where I am now and how I hope to contribute to this country moving forward, people will make a better decision in 2015.
And finally, what vision do you hold for Canada?
I see us as this extraordinary country that has managed to do a lot of things very right, whether it's how we make successful technological and energy advances, or create open and fair markets, or mostly how we've developed our identity as a country as being strong not in spite of our differences, but because of them. It's the title of my book, Common Ground, because people come to this country from everywhere around the world and we focus on the things in which we are similar and don't spend too much time focusing on our differences. That's a trick that's not just good for Canada, but it's something the world needs to do more as well. And that's where I see Canada being an important leader in the world at how to build pluralistic, strong societies.
Well, definitely the people will be reading your book, but if there's one thing which you would like to share from your book, what would that be?
Just how much I believe in Canada and in Canadians. We always talk about trust in politics because people need to trust their politicians more. Well, I like to turn that around and say, you know what? We need politicians who show that they trust Canadians. And that's what I try to put through in my book.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome.